Christmas is over, the tree's put away, and now you're starting to think about 2019. What will it mean for you? What's it going to mean for your top line? What's it going to mean for your bottom line? What does all that mean anyway? We'll talk about it. Stay with me. Hi folks, I'm Sean Crabtree.
And I'm Cameron Bailey.
We don't want to change the way you do business.
We want to change the way you're thinking about your business.
We want you to have better results, happier clients, and make more money.
Let's get it started.
Welcome to Growth Profits, the show that comes to you every single week with ways for you to have happier clients, better results, making more money, and enjoying the ride. And that's the only reason that we're together. Now, the tree is put up. 2018 is almost over, but Christmas is certainly behind us. Now it's time to start shifting our focus to, number one, what was your final score for 18, right? What worked? What didn't work? There were 12 games in this long season. Which ones did you win? Which ones did you lose? How did you define whether or not you won and you lost? And let's roll that into 2019. What is it you want to accomplish? Where do you want to go? How does it look and what needs to happen? That's what it is that we're going to talk about today. Why is it important that we have this conversation? Well, because you already know, right? That little space that we have right now between Christmas and New Year's, that is the best time of the year for you to start shifting your focus to what do you want the next year to look like? What does it mean to win in your world, right? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What do you want to do for yourself, for your family, your team? What do you want to do for your business? This is a great time for you to begin shifting your focus before you gear back up and start hitting it really hard in 2019. Mr. Producer, have you thought about 2019?
I have.
You got plans laid out? You got goals laid out?
I'm working on it.
Well, okay. Well,
it's coming soon.
Well, we need. Good thing you're here. We need to start having this conversation. You know, this is one of the challenges that if you look at the statistics, right? Most people around the New Year's, they're always starting to think about the next year, and they're always thinking about what they want to accomplish, but they never really go to the next step. They never really write it down. They never really plan for it. They never really lay out steps that you're trying to accomplish to be able to get there. And I do not want that to happen for you. I want 2019 to be your best year ever. And I want to give you several steps that you can implement to be able to make it so, starting right now. So here's what I would challenge you to do. Take a moment and take a look with a sheet of paper, no kidding, the old-fashioned way, pen, paper. Take a look at 2018. Write down the things that you really enjoyed. Let's don't start with goals and things yet. Write down the things that you really enjoyed about 2018. What are the things that you enjoyed personally? What are the things that you enjoyed professionally? What are the things that you enjoyed with your family, socially? You know, all of those things. And then I go to the next step. What are the things that you did not enjoy about 2018? Personally, professionally, financially, socially, family, all of those things. Write those things down. Now you're beginning to shift over to 2019. Making a list of those things that you enjoyed, having the list of the things that you don't enjoy or you didn't enjoy about 2018. Now let's begin to figure out what exactly is that you want from 2019. If it were me, I would start with the most basic concept. You've laid out the things that you would like to have happen personally, professionally, financially, socially, family, all of these things that you're trying to accomplish in 2019. Let's attach a dollar amount to those things. It doesn't have to be exact, right? All you're trying to do is set out some goals and set some things out that you can work toward, and then we'll create plans for it. So, number one, make those lists of what you enjoy, what you didn't enjoy, and now begin to think about where it is that you want to go for 2019. The things that you didn't enjoy, let's figure out how we can knock them out in just a second. The things that you did enjoy, how can you get more of it? Let's attach a dollar amount to it. If it were me, Mr. Producer, I'm going to bring out the pad.
Oh, unbelievable technology.
We are very high tech, right? as you can tell, we've even got we got things that we've written on the pad already. So here's what I would do. Let's attach a dollar amount, okay? Let's attach a dollar amount to those things. Now, I realize I just said that really quick, right? Figure out what you liked in 18 and what you didn't like in 18, and then begin to think about what you want to accomplish in 19. Don't fluff through that, right? Spend a little time and think about it. Take some time to yourself. It's a great time between right now and the end of the year. It's a great time to be thinking about that. Then, once you've done that, attach a dollar amount. What is the dollar amount that you need from a bottom line standpoint? Bottom line meaning, what is the dollar amount that I need to be able to net? What is the dollar amount that I need to be able to take home in 2019? Now, don't worry about anything at this point other than what is it that I'm trying to take home in 2019? That will be my bottom line amount. Now, that part was pretty quick. Now we're going to start into a little bit of the, you smell that marker, Mr. Producer?
Yeah.
Man, that is one powerful marker.
It's a big old marker.
That's a big old marker. We like big markers. We like big markers. Now, for me to be able to take home that bottom line amount, I got to do a little work here. I'm going to have to figure out what has to happen from a top line standpoint, right? What has to happen from a gross standpoint for me to be able to net that? And depending on what you wrote down in terms of what you liked and what you didn't like in 2018, this may be a little bit complicated because there may be some things that you want to add in 2019 that are going to increase your overhead. And for you to be able to come up with what has to happen here in the top line, you got to know what that overhead looks like to be able to net you out the bottom line amount. Does that make sense, Mr. Producer?
That's my sense.
So do some deep dive into this and figure out based on the things that you want to accomplish. For instance, if you in 2019 really want to have more time with your family, I don't know what your business is. It doesn't really matter what your business is. But if that's something that you really want to achieve and you've laid out that that's a goal that you have and you're clear that there's so many more days of vacation that you want, or you're clear that there's so many things that you want, time at home at the end of the day, whatever that is for you, right? It may be, as an example, that you need to hire somebody else in your business. Well, if you do, that's going to increase what you have to get gross to be able to net out what you want on your bottom line, right? That makes sense. So dive into exactly what has to happen, figuring in your overhead, figuring in where it is that you want to go, figuring in what it is that you're trying to accomplish, time with family, more vacation days, whatever that is for you. Get detailed about it. Now you can come up with what is the dollar amount that I've got to get from a top line revenue scenario to be able to net me out what it is that I need on my bottom line scenario, right? Now, this is where it starts to get fun. It's going to be easy. I don't know what you came up with your bottom line, but the top line is usually what scares folks, because if you're thinking big, and I want to encourage you to think big. Remember, this is America. We get to have whatever it is that we want as long as we're clear on what it is that we want. We'll figure out how to get there in just a minute. You got to get clear first, very attached to what it is that you want from the bottom line, and whatever that number is has to be on the top line to be able to get you there. This is the one that can scare you sometimes. That's okay. If it's not scary, it's not going to be fun. If it's not scary, it's not worth it. We'll make it easier in just a second, but right now, you want that number 2 to be scary, and that's a good thing. Scary, Mr. Producer, is a good thing.
Terrifying.
Terrifying. So, if this is a good, terrifying number, which I hope it is for you, if that's a good, terrifying number, then here's what you got to do. Once we've got that number laid out, now we're going to take that number. This is a top line gross revenue kind of number. Now we're going to break it down into what I call the ridiculous. You're going to break it down into the ridiculous. Oh, we can't see that. Ridiculous. Once I break it down into the ridiculous, what does that even look like? What does that mean? Well, we got technical difficulties with our high-tech equipment here. Technology is just, the more high-tech we get, the worse we have problems here. For me to be able to break it down to the ridiculous, here's what I tell you to do. I don't know what your number is. let's say your number is top line $1 million, right? This is number 2, by the way. If your number 2 was you're trying to get $1 million top line or gross, okay, great. Break it down into the ridiculous. Okay, what does that look like? Well, monthly, that's about $86,000 per month. Okay, now, how many days did you want to be able to work to be able to get that, right? What does it look like in terms of your business? Well, if you're working 20 days a month, then, as an example, that'd be 5 days a week. If you're whatever that is for you, right? If you're looking at 20 days a month, then you're talking about $4,300 per day. Now, depending on the different revenue streams in your business, you want to further break down that $4,300 into those different revenue streams. Whatever that looks like for you. If you're a dental practice, as an example, then you're going to take that $4,300. You're going to further break it down, as an example, into hygiene. So in my example, that'd be $1,290 per day. Over on the operative side now, we're going to say $4,300. Take 70% of that. Okay, great. That's going to be on the operative side. That would be $3,010 per day. Great. Now you've got a very manageable sort of a goal. Whatever your revenue streams are, you're going to break it down into the smallest possible parts that you can. If you've got 3 revenue streams, awesome. Then you're going to take that $4,300, you're going to break it into all 3 of those streams. What is it that you have to do per day to be able to get there? If I were you, I'd probably use those as my goals now on a daily basis. We've taken our top line revenue. We're trying to figure out what are we going to do in 19. We started with what do we need to net? Okay, great. What do we need to have for a top line gross? Great. Now we're going to break it down into the smallest parts. We've broken it down monthly. We've broken it down daily. Now we've broken it down into, in my example here, 2 different revenue streams. If you have 3, if you have 4, you're going to find that the further you break it down, the more ridiculous it gets and the easier it is to attain. And that's what you're trying to do, is make it easy to attain for yourself. Now comes the good stuff. Number 3 was fun. Number 2 was a little scary. Terrifying, Mr. Producer said. That's great. Number 3 is now making it more fun. Now number 4, you got to do some work. Now, number 4, that's where the rubber meets the road. Number 4 is where you're taking everything that you've come up with. You've taken your goals and the different revenue streams. Now you're going to break it into small game plans that need to happen, right, every single day to be able to have those revenue streams produce you what it is that you're trying to get to, whatever those numbers break down to you, whatever that looks like. Now, a couple things I would tell you on breaking those game plans down. You want to get ridiculously detailed. You don't leave anything to chance, right? If I'm you, when I'm coming up with these game plans, by the way, if you have people in your business that you need to get involved in helping you with these game plans, that's great. If you have frontline leaders, if you have people on your team who you are making accountable for those kinds of things, then have them come up with those game plans. But the point is, we don't want to start the new year without having game plans for exactly how it is that it needs to look, and we need to get as detailed as possible. The more detailed, the better. If it were me, I would break it down like this. I already know what the goal is for that particular revenue stream, right? Now I'm going to break down what is the plan that needs to happen to be able to achieve that goal. Very specifically, that's supposed to say specifically. Can you read that, Mr. Producer?
You might want to write it again.
That's supposed to say specifically, very specifically. What is the plan that's going to be able to happen to be able to get there? I would also put in, who do you need involved? What is it that they're going to do? And here's one of the most important parts. How are we going to track it so that we know what's working and what's not? And then the last part is, how often are we going to visit? How often are we going to visit what's working and what's not? And let me tell you what I mean by that. This is your plan for 2019. You started at the top. What do I need to bottom line take home? Great. What has to happen on a top line gross? So let's start over. So what needs to happen from my bottom line? What do I need to do top line gross to be able to get there? How does it break down in terms of monthly, daily, and revenue streams? Now I'm going to break it into game plans, answering these questions. If, for example, we're coming out of the chute, 2019 is a 12-game season, right? You got 12 different months to be able to hit the $1 million, in my example, goal, whatever that is for you. So you've broken it down into those individual games, and you've further broken those games down into individual revenue streams, and you've broken it down into daily games that you're trying to get to. So as you're tracking it, you want to track this stuff daily so that you know what's working and what's not every single day. And at the end of the month, you know where you landed, and you need to make those adjustments moving right into the next month. If you're way off, you may want to start making those adjustments weekly. If you're kind of hitting it, but you're not there for the month, I think that makes sense, right, Mr. Producer? So the trick is in the game plan right here. The other part was just the getting clear on where you're trying to go. This is the planning piece, the tracking piece, and the ongoing visitation of it that's going to have you be successful. That is what's going to make 2019 the best that it can be for you. I know that we talk about it a lot on all of our channels here. At the end of the day, when you're back in the game and you're working, it's really easy to forget the amazing ability in terms of opportunity that we have in America. I can tell you that in working with small businesses all over the U.S. and even outside of the U.S., I can tell you I've learned that the challenge is not a lack of opportunity. The challenge is not a lack of ability. The challenge is not a lack of resources. The challenge is a lack of clarity and mindset. With those 4 steps, that's going to help you get clear on where it is that you're trying to go. It's going to help you think on what needs to happen. And if you'll stick with the game planning and the visitation of those game plans, there's nothing in the world that you can't accomplish. Michael Gerber said best, you know what? America is the greatest country on the planet Earth. Anybody in America can have exactly what it is that they want. What I would say is most people don't get it because they're not clear on it, and they never think their way through to what needs to happen to be able to get it. I don't want that for you. I want 2019 to be the very best that it possibly can be. So take a look, starting with what worked in 18, what didn't work in 18, what do you want for 19, and then walk through those 4 steps. Number 1, what is the bottom line dollar amount that you're trying to attain? What needs to happen gross revenue for you to be able to attain that, taking into account all of the things that we talked about? Number 3, what does it look like broken down to the ridiculous? Number 4, what's the plans, and how often are you going to revisit those plans on a regular basis? That, in a nutshell, is what's going to have you make this year, this coming year, the very best that it can possibly be. And that is certainly my wish for you. Thank you for joining me. It's always about happier clients, better results, making more money, and enjoying the ride. I'm Sean Crabtree. We'll see you on Growth Profits in 2019.